Welcome to the video from the other side of the screen.
Here we go then, another 10 satisfying, brilliant crescendos, endings. I'm going to say crescendos a lot, I'm going to say satisfying a lot, I'm going to say triumphant a lot. But those kind of endings to film music. Let's get straight into it. Made some notes here, make it easier. First up, Capricorn 1. I've got two here. That's the re-recording done with the National Philharmonic. That's the original recording done in America, United States. Both have their merits. This is a bigger version of it, a bigger orchestra. This is a more punchy version of it. Anyway, the track that I'm talking about is The Celebration. I love this part of the film. It just brings it all together, and nice happy ending, nice bow. Some people don't like it. Eric Woods, for one, thinks it's a bit naff, to use a technical term. I like it, and it's a real happy kind of celebratory ending to the film. The slow motion's admittedly a bit crap, but I think it works brilliantly, and it just ends the film on a high, and then you just go straight into that ostinato, punchy end title tune. But yeah, it's just a great button on the end of the film. So Capricorn 1, The Celebration. Check it out. Next up, Raiders of the Lost Ark. This can apply to all the Indiana Jones films, really. It's the end credits, just the way that concludes. It's just a classic. John Williams did try and mix it up at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with a slightly different ending to his end title suite. It was all right, but I prefer the classic version. But yeah. Now, originally on the Raiders March, there was that and it finishes and it's like, yeah, everybody's clapping and cheering. But then it went on, din, 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 and it's all very quiet, but it's still going on. But if you do that in a concert, you get to that, and everybody stands up, and then they're going, sit down, there's more. I was, oh shit, sorry. Did that for the next one as well. For my next kind of great ending is 1941. Love this score, love this film. Not many people do love this film. Not a lot of people have heard of it outside of film buffs and film music nerds like us. But I really enjoy the film. It is a comedy, but it's not. It does have a few amusing bits, but it's not particularly funny. But it's just a wild ride for 2 hours, or 2.5 hours if you see the extended cut. But the end of the end titles, great. It finishes, and again you stand up and cheer and clap. But they did originally have that kind of little quiet bit at the end that went on for another kind of 40 seconds. You don't do that at concerts. You just finish it, boom, out. So yeah, that's my next one, 1941, end titles. Lovely stuff. Love this one. This was a huge flop from 1995. I don't know why, because it's widely derided, and people say it's an awful film, but I really enjoy this film. It's Cutthroat Island, John Debney. It's just a 2-hour spectacular adventure film. All the money's up there on the screen, and it's got an incredible score by John Debney, performed by the London Symphony Orchestra. And again, it's got a brilliant end title suite. Turn my page here. It's a truly magnificent score. It really is, and just a great ending to that suite of themes. But if you haven't seen it, because you've heard bad things about it, ignore all that. Go and see it. You might enjoy it. If you don't, tough. Next up, a bit more Jerry Goldsmith. We've got The Ghost in the Darkness. Now, This is entitled on this kind of Intrada release, which was the 2 CD one, the expanded one. Welcome to Savo, #2-revised. Catchy title, I know. And it's the bit where everything's resolved, the bridge is built, and there's a nice kind of button on the score before the end credits start. And it's a nice crescendo, and that's that word again, crescendo, and then the end credits start. But that wasn't on the original soundtrack release. It only was released on this. It was in the film, obviously, and I thought, oh, that's great. Spent ages trying to find it on the original soundtrack. It wasn't there, but it's on this one now. So really like that one. So yeah, get this one if you can. It's I don't know if it's really expensive on secondary market. Probably is, but well worth it. Next up, a British composer and a film from 1996, Independence Day, David Arnold. This is just, I hate to use the word epic, because it's been misappropriated now and people are just using it to say stupid stuff about music. But David Arnold almost beats John Williams with out crescendoing John Williams, and that's no mean feat. It's a massive kind of choral tinged crescendo to the end title suite. Listen to it. Again, this is the La La Land complete original motion soundtrack, picture soundtrack. So yeah, great score as well. Okay, let's change tack a bit, away from those big finishes. I've chosen the next one from John Williams' JFK, and it's from the track Arlington, which is a beautiful piece of music. It's a solemn piece of music. It's searing. It's very hard to describe. It's a very melancholy piece of music. But when you get to the end of it, there's you've been through this. It's almost 6 minutes long, or it's about 6 minutes long. This piece of music, and it is a wonderful piece of music. It's not atonal. It is a beautiful piece of music, but it is a really serious piece of music. And there's a lovely warm chord right at the very end, in the last kind of 15 seconds or so, which just resolves the whole piece. It's like. This is a bad analogy, but you know when you've been ill for a while and then you start to feel better, and it's just that calm at the very end. It gets me every time. It's just just spine-tinglingly beautiful. Just that warm chord at the end, very very quiet, but it works a treat. So Arlington from JFK. Next up, a bit of Alan Silvestri. Don't think I've had any Alan Silvestri. Anyway, Judge Dredd, and the track I've chosen is New World, from the original soundtrack version, not the one that's actually in the film. There were loads of issues with the score. There was a full score recorded in London, I believe, and then there were tons of cuts of the film, and they changed the tone of the film. And I think the original idea was to have a more serious kind of violent version of the film. You can see tinges of that in the film, but they obviously changed it in the end to make it a more kind of kiddie friendly thing, I suppose. And then there was a huge rescore done with an orchestra in America. I mean, Alan Silvestri did a fantastic job with this score. I'm not going to get into this, I wish Jerry Goldsmith had scored it, because, I mean, Jerry Goldsmith, favourite composer, but Alan Silvestri's score is brilliant. But yeah, it's that the final version of or the final of that cue, New World, where Judge Dredd rides his bike onto the end of that, was it a pier or end of a building, and just looks out over the city, back on the job, and the music goes really martial, really kind of thumping. They've kind of softened it a bit in the re-record, but they're both great. But I just love the punch and the kind of the grit of the original recording. But it's a great ending, and I remember seeing that in Leicester Square in London for the first time, and that, I mean, I quite enjoyed the film. It's a bit nonsensical, but the music, fantastic. So check it out. Get this version of the score if you can as well. It's got both versions of that cue. And finally, is it finally? Not finally. We've got a bit of Henry Mancini and Life Force. This is the new Entrada release of Henry Mancini's music to Life Force. This is, the film itself is madder than a box of mad frogs with spanners and jelly. It's just, it's got everything going for it. It's like cross between a Hammer film, a nudie pick. I don't know how to explain this thing. But it's great fun. It's a wonderful film, and the score. It was a real surprise for me by Henry Mancini after hearing Pink Panther and all that kind of stuff. To hear this was just incredible. But the track I've chosen is Grandson. What is it called again? Grandson of Webb, and it's just a beautiful, almost romantic, almost avant-garde piece, just building, and it's just a massive piece. But it builds up to a slightly dark, off-kilter crescendo right at the very end before we go into that great Life Force theme. It just resolves with a bit of a question mark, but it's a real kind of wow, kind of operatic moment. But yeah, great ending to a piece of music. Life Force, great score as well. And finally, I'm going to finish with my favourite composer again, Jerry Goldsmith, who I've said it before, doesn't know how to finish a piece of music, but when he does, he does. But I've chosen Into the West from Night Crossing. It's a lovely score, wonderful score. It's got great drama, it's got great beauty, it's got great action. The film's all right, it's all right, but the music is superb. And Into the West, it finishes the film off with a wonderfully upbeat version of the main theme, and again another just triumphant finish, boom, before we go into the end titles. So yeah, that's another 10. I could keep on doing these things ad infinitum, and I a couple of comments on the last one. I had one from Victor Field saying, "Are you going to have arachnophobia on the next one?" I listened to it. That was the end title, ends with a nice, great crescendo. So thanks, Victor. And Dave from Skirwingle said, "Are you going to have Untouchables on the next one?" Back to the Future 3, Close Encounters. And I read all this one now, and at the same time I'm thinking, damn, why didn't I pick those ones? But yeah, I mean, if you've got your own top 10 or your own kind of ones, put them in the comments, or make a video about your favourite endings, or favourite denouement to pieces of film music. But yeah, but just a quick one, not related to any of this. I had a comment from David Pensack about his Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome CD case, and he couldn't get it to close properly. I think it might be just an issue with your CD case, because mine closes okay, David. Sorry, but yeah, just to let you know. But yeah, that's it for now. More stuff coming soon. Until then, good day.